everybody? Spirit of 420 here because everything I do is incredibly, no, just so 420. In fact, leaving and coming up here without my coffee was one of those things. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, now that I have my coffee, we can get on with things. I mean, coffee and weed, it's the two things that matter most to the Spirit of 420. But tonight, I have one of my good friends, one of my earliest guests, actually, and he's back for more. Everybody say hello to Gryz. What's up, Gryz?
How's it going, everybody? How's it going? Thanks for the invite again.
Oh, of course.
Roundabout through Joe, but of course we're always talking about getting back on the show, so was glad it worked out for tonight.
Y'all have it, and not only that, but you know, there's a group of y'all, including you and Dirty and Joe, that have outstanding, you know, or should I say, ongoing, outstanding invites. They're all, you know, it's pretty much whenever you want to join me, you just got to let me know, and the next show you're on. So.
Absolutely.
And of course, I don't have any glasses, but I can go without my eyeballs. I can guesstimate, and if I don't guesstimate properly, that's okay because we're just talking about guesstimating wax. So that's not a problem, dude. I got some ultra refined, and I know you know what I'm talking about here, but I got some ultra refined tonight. It's fucking crack rock, man. I swear to God, it is really crack rock. It's as hard. Nice. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. Yeah, I got. I'm smoking flower like I usually do, in joints like I usually do. But tonight I got my buddy just harvested some Blue Dream, so
nice.
He got some of that out to me. Shout out to my homie Sean. And
oh yeah, and look at there, we've got. Let me just catch up on over here. So we have Donna's in the house. We got the crazy Joester, of course, is in the house. Nice. We got Brandon here with us. Brandon Stevens. We have others, but they're not talking. That's okay. Everybody doesn't have to talk. But now let's catch up. So Donna says she's crazy. I know that. Donna, I love you. What's good, sir? Everything. Hey, brother. Of course. And Donna says hello to you, Gryz. And it's ERYZ. Why? Because we said so. I had to fix it right before we got in here because Gryz actually mistyped it, typing it at Graz. I was like,
my wireless keyboard here decided to have a lag and
farted on
must have hit the wrong thing. And
well, what's funny is it literally took me a few minutes because he was like, "Can you fix it on your end?" I was like, I don't know that I can. I might have to have you leave and come back. But luckily, you know, with a little bit of what's the word? Prying. That's all you got to do. That's all you have to do with software typically is pry, and somebody has already figured out and put it in there somewhere. You just have to find out where the setting is, you know?
Absolutely.
Oh, which reminds me, since Joe is here, and check this out, dude. Isn't this cool? Look at this thing.
Oh yeah,
it holds
nice.
6 stones and a big lighter.
Very cool. Then I like that.
It has a top, right?
Oh,
and then it seals. It's water, like, so you can throw it out in the pool or, you know, whatever, and your weed stays dry and ready to be smoked. So anyway, Joe, just so you know, when I logged in today, because you and I have been talking about this, they have StreamYard has added a preset already for Instagram. So Instagram Live is now a preset that I don't have to worry about, because I told you I was going to do it, but I had to do it manually. I don't have to do it manually anymore. There you go.
Nice. Very cool.
Yes. So we can, because one of the things that we're going to be doing with his Discord channel is streaming there, but then also streaming to Instagram as well. So, yeah, and I thought you'd like that. What's up, Med Grower Tom?
Hey, there's Tom. I'll put out a little little buzz right now. I'm being needled to get my podcast going because I've been asked to have my podcast on that Discord as well. So Joe and I will be in talks soon about getting that stuff
Which
going.
means you're going to have to actually get off your butt and do it now.
I know, exactly. Now
everything happens for a reason, though, brother.
So,
well, everything happens for a reason. You know, it was time for you, and we know that the world has some things that it should hear from you. And by the way,
that's what I'm worried. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried the world's not ready to hear the stuff that's going to come out of my mouth.
Oh, dude, yeah. You'll be reserved. You won't let all the craziness fly right away. Trust me. I have given quite a bit of myself already to the almost 2 years I've been doing this or getting close to it, and I still have only given away like 10% who I am on here. Because I mean, dude. You know, I live life, right? And that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I've been here for 50 years. At best, I stream usually maybe an hour on average. So that's just a piece. You know, I can only give so much. But just real quick, Mrs. Spear, I don't have a lighter. So I do have this, you know, because I mean, I'll make do. But if you could maybe bring me up a Bic, it sure would make life easier on me. Because otherwise, I'm gonna do it like this.
Yeah, I definitely got to give a shout out to my boys there, Bex and Tom, and of course Joe. I literally, as we were coming on, got in the Discord and said, "Going live," and these guys all jumped right in. So shout out to the family right there.
Well, you know. The one thing I'll say is the people that I have surrounded myself with as of late, if you will, I feel like are the people that as much as they need support, they're willing to give support.
Yep.
And that's the balance. And I'm not saying like, I want to say this real clear. If somebody doesn't have the ability to give back and share or be at a show of mine for fucking weeks, right? But then come on, I don't see them as not doing it. They're coming on when they can, right? But at the same time, if you're able to do it and I'm able to do it, then I'm going to be there. If I'm not doing anything, by the way, this fucking weed tastes great. I wish I could remember what I bought.
Those are the fun trips to the dispensary.
Yeah, well, that's my every trip because I'm like, what is your best testing indica? That's all I like. I don't give a fuck what the name is. What is the indica that you have in that is best right now? What's your best indica? And I'm gonna take that and go home.
Yeah.
See, I run differently, and I know I'm an enigma, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that actually in a good way because I believe that everything that we have, everything we do, no matter how strange it is all a gift, right? But I am not like most folks, like probably 125 ways. But one of them just happens to be that indica is energy and sativa is sleepy for me. It's the way it's always been. Everybody else, it's like, dude, I'm sick of it because even the shows now, like movies, right? It's indica is the sleepy one and sativa gives you energy. I'm like, man, I smoke sativa when I want to focus down or like you know, how do I say, really concentrate on something, then I smoke indica because not only does it wake me up, but then I'm ultra focused too, you know.
I always my wife she can't smoke. It really bothers her quite a bit, so she just does edibles, and so we go down to my boys down at it's a Native American owned dispensary called Grandma's Trading, and I love the name Grandma's Trading. I love it, and we go in there, and my wife will get her edibles, and then we'll usually get some pre-rolls from them, and the guy always says, what pre-rolls do you want? And I said, don't matter. I said, you throw whatever you want in there because it's all going to end up the same. I'm going to end up getting high, and at some point I'm going to end up falling asleep. I'm like, it don't matter for me, So And they always throw a couple extras in there for me every time I go in. And, so, but
That's the kind of place that you want to keep visiting, though, man. Like, I don't
oh,
care
yeah.
if you have the best weed in town. If you go above and beyond
Yep.
to try to take good care of me, customer service wise, then your weed is just
Absolutely.
that much better.
Absolutely.
And damn, that's potent.
Nice.
And on the vice versa, and on the exact vice versa, if you're a fucking dickhead and you sell the strongest weed in town, I really don't care for your weed.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I mean, it's just
that's one of the things
like,
I know.
dude,
And I know you and
it's
I,
a medium or
yeah,
a balance. Excuse me.
well, and you and I have discussed this a little bit before. I don't know if we ever have on the show, but I know in personal talks. But I do feel that one of the unintentional side effects of legalization of cannabis is we are losing, in my opinion, we're losing some of the traditional culture that came along with
we've
being a
talked about this.
cannabis user.
There was a stigma that, and what's funny is now it's kind of moved to being a hippie. If you're an old school stoner, you're called a hippie, and I'm like,
yeah.
See, that to me,
Or
like when
head.
I was a stoner, there were hippies and there was yuppies and there was yippies and there was, greasers and all those other things too. And we all smoked pot. Like it wasn't,
right.
In fact, what's funny is when I was a dealer, I had fucking people from all walks of life that fucking came to buy from me. And I mean, all walks of life, from fucking millionaires to, the fucking most broke motherfucker in town.
One of the funniest things that we saw here in New York when legalization happened was all of a sudden, once it was legalized, all of the like super conservative right wing people that you knew were all of a sudden like, oh yeah, we
marijuana is great. Yeah, I've been smoking it for years. Yeah, behind closed doors, you fucking fag.
Exactly.
You're
exactly.
You're acting like you've been doing it the whole time. I was the one out in the streets going, we need to make it legal. And you were in the one up in your bedroom with the closet door closed going, I hope he gets it right. They legalize that shit, because I would love to smoke outside.
That's one of the issues that I even have with churches today. We see it here again after legalization. After legalization, it's like we have all these churches now that are like, oh yeah, just like alcohol, cannabis is okay in moderation and everything. And of course,
why didn't you say that?
Background.
Why were you not saying that? Why was the Pope not saying this? Like,
right. Well, my background and everything like that. For those in the audience that don't know, I was a Baptist minister for many years, graduated from seminary and everything like that. And,
and you heard that.
I personally, exactly. I personally believe, just so you guys know, I personally believe that there is a lot of evidence in the Old Testament of the Bible that cannabis was used all throughout biblical times. And we can get onto that, but
it was removed by man. The Bible is not an untouched book,
right? So, but where I'm going with this is, say you believe in a God, a higher power that is perfect in every way. You either have to stand up in front of your congregation as a preacher and say, I was wrong telling you that cannabis was wrong all this time, and I apologize for that. Or you have to stand up there and say that God's opinions on things, or what's good or bad according to God, goes along with man's laws.
And it doesn't.
Because you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. So, I think, even in that though, like you say, we're losing some of the traditional culture that came along with being cannabis users. And it's one of those things where, don't get me wrong. I would sacrifice that for legalization all day long. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
It's just something unique to
Think
see
it goes along.
happening.
It's change. It's part of the change. You can't,
Yeah.
you know, this is something that I talk about all the time. Like nothing stays the same, you know, and with change or even with realization, right? And lack of ignorance, which means having more knowledge, well, then you're definitely going to change, you know, and you can't help but to, how would I say it? The more knowledge we get, like, to give you just one example of what I'm talking about, back in the 90s, they were growing weed hydroponically and high powered and all that, right? But they did not test the fucking weed the way that weed is now tested on every batch because it wasn't legal. You didn't have to test it. You just knew smoke, like that's some potent shit. That's all you had to do, you know?
Yeah.
And you couldn't, if you were smart, you learned really quickly, you could not rely on taste or smell to determine whether it's good. You've got to smoke the end product, because if you got shit that's been cloned so many times that it doesn't have THC, but it smells, looks, and plays the role of fucking weed, you know, which now they use. Think about it. Like
how about the old visual tests? How about the old visual test? Joe and I joke about this all the time. You know, somebody shows you some bud, and you're like, "Oh, look, it's got red hairs. That's potent stuff, man." Before you even smoked it, it has nothing to do with anything. You know,
it's what we came to believe. The only thing that was right was because we did, look at the fucking crystals. That shit was right. Like, you know, give me some crystally bud. But
oh yeah, sticky,
you know,
icky.
Sticky, icky. It was it was all based on it's funny because when you said the visual test, I thought you were going to talk how people like, yeah, look at that, and then they buy it, and out comes the other pocket. Here, take that. Right. Go smoke that oregano. The true bait, like people understand, they don't understand bait and switch came from drug dealers, you know.
I have a running thing. I'm in a couple 420 friendly groups on Facebook, and you know, that every once in a while they'll post a picture of some clearly photoshopped bud, you know, with a rainbow of colors in it and everything like that. And what would you name this bud? You know, and you get all the typical, you know, Skittles and Rainbow Bright and, you know, all that, you know, Tutti Frutti.
Right.
And then I get on there and go, I would name it Photoshopped.
Yeah. I like that. That's a good one. Sorry, just 1 second.
Oh, no worries, man.
Somebody who usually doesn't call this time called, so I want to make sure that there's no emergency. But I'm normally not. This was, you know, quite a late stream for me. Wasn't on purpose, but I ended up. Christmas is just what it is, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like gift buying and all that shit.
Well, that's when you jumped in the room. That was call I was on, was my son trying to just firm up, you know, plans for Christmas Eve. So
no, I get it. God bless America. All right, I'm gonna mute it for a second, dude, just so you don't have to hear my bullshit.
All right, man. No worries.
But I love all of y'all.
So while he's doing that, anybody out there listening, put down in the comments what's your favorite songs to listen to when you're partaking of the ganj.
Say it again. I missed it.
I was asking them to put down
some of that.
Oh. Yeah, I asked them to put down in the comments what their favorite songs are to listen to when they're partaking of the ganj.
Dude, I can't. I wouldn't even. Now, see, if you asked me in my 20s, then I would start spouting off because I had specific. That's so funny. Africa by Toto. Toto's my son, just on a side note, my son, Skylar's living twin, fucking listens to the shit out of Toto, dude. I'm like, how the fuck do you even know Toto? You're 23. You're not supposed to know Toto at 23 years old, but he fucking loves him.
Nice.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one. But no, man, when I was in my 20s, it was usually some Jethro Tull. I was huge into Tull. But over the years, it's changed, man. Like I now, my what do you call it? Hey, babe, if you're watching, I really need a lighter. I now, with Spotify, it's so different, dude, because before Spotify, you either listened to the radio or you were a disc person, you had discs or you had tapes, depending on how far back you go. But I got to the point where I at least had discs and I had a 6-disc changer. But the sad thing is the 6-disc changer kept actual CDs, not MP3s like we have now, where you could put one disc in and have more music than all 8 of those discs that were changing back then. You know what I mean? So I will say this, as it just real quick, as it's progressed, I have gotten more and more of various artists, like the gamut of shit when I'm high, because I love that. You know what I mean? I love going from like, give me a fucking classic 90s rap, then take me back to fucking 60s rock and roll, and then let's go to something that just came out yesterday,
So yeah, I came up during the time I was involved with music since I was 5 years old, playing various instruments and everything like that. And I came up, though, cassettes were the big thing in my time. And I lived through the time when making a mixtape meant that you spent hours recording songs off the radio and hoping that stupid fucking DJ didn't talk
they would play it again,
the intro or the outro when you're recording it. It's so funny because I can hear it, and you can hear him, saying, and that was Superstitious by Europe, and you're listening to WROK. It's gonna be a cold night out there tonight, folks. And it was like, motherfuck,
I remember the last time I made one of those from the radio like that. The last time I did that, I was 16 years old, living with my uncle. And I remember I was trying to get classic rock and roll, as a matter of fact, and I got like a House of the Rising Sun on one. I got a few. I got to the point where I was like, fuck it. And I didn't care anymore if I got a little bit of them talking. So my mixtapes by that point would have, and it just fucking stopped right there, and because I didn't have time, I would try. I used to try to fucking rewind, and then they'd play another song before I could get the tape set to record again, and something else that I wanted to hear. And I'm like, fuck you. So.
Dude, one of the best presents that I ever got for Christmas when I was a kid growing up was my old man got me a dual cassette boombox, and that was the shit, because now it was on, because now I could dub any tape out there, and somebody bought that. Oh, let me borrow that so I can dub that, and it was awesome. Loved that. But then you just had to hope that your tape deck didn't eat your cassette on you.
Yes. Yeah. What's funny is people don't understand, really. I think a lot of people don't realize how often that would happen if you were playing tapes from your car, because you'd melt the motherfuckers.
Oh yeah.
And then once you put a little bit of heat to that tape, it really wasn't going to work very well anymore.
Yep.
It just.
But yeah, no, I've always listened to all kinds of music because of my, because how much into music I've been, and but it's funny, I go through phases and stuff, and lately it's funny you brought it up. Lately I've been in like a 90s rap phase, and every time I smoke, man, listening to, Tupac, Biggie, Snoop, Dre, and just, it's like I found a new appreciation or more appreciation again for those artists, and I've been really, really enjoying it. And my
Oh,
my
dude,
wife laughs at me because she's always listened to that kind of stuff, and she laughs at me because like I'm trying to, some of them that I really like, I'm trying to learn the lyrics to them and stuff. So we'll be going somewhere, it'll come on and it'll be playing, and I'll start, and she's just looks at me and she's like, "Honey, you're a redneck." She just shakes her head.
just deal with it, honey. Just come to terms with the fact that
Yeah.
your neck is blood fucking red. There's nothing you can do about it. That's hysterical. Here's one too, because like, I mean, I can't deny how I grew up. And what I mean by that is, there it is. I cannot deny that while growing up, I just want to name a few things. Number one, I got an earring at 12 years old in the left ear, only one in the left ear. That was the same year that I grew my first mullet intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
I want to add that it was an intentional mullet, and it was at the same time that I was wearing parachute pants. So I'm pretty sure that I know for a fact that I grew up as a redneck. There's no doubt about it. I remember when I what's funny is as I got older, and when I tell my older, I'm talking about older compared to that age. So when I got to be about 19, 20, or like actually 21, 20, no, 20, I got both of my ears pierced and then went and did it twice. So I ended up having like 3 in one ear and 2 in the other, because I was like, this is the dumbest thing that I've ever heard of, that if I get both ears pierced, just because the right ear is pierced. Because just for those who don't know, rednecks don't get their right ear pierced because that means they're gay. Yeah. So
just like what was the old one? You didn't wear green on Thursday or some stupid thing like that.
Dude, I mean, like, there's so many rules, and you're like, what? How does that make gay? I just want to have different fashion. Like it might as well be the equivalent to be like, if you put studs in, you're straight, but if you hang anything from your ears like loops, you get gay.
Right.
Don't ask me why my rednecks became from like down, up in New York, but there's rednecks that live up there too.
Unless it's a gold eagle feather, and then that's okay. You can dangle that from your ear.
Oh man, all the rules we had about well, I know. I mean, like, for instance, I mentioned the parachute pants, but you were ridiculed if you wore one style of parachute pants, and you were cool as shit if you wore another style, because one was true parachute pants and one was the rip-off Walmart pants that fucking like didn't even look nearly as close, but still had 7 pockets on them. So technically speaking, you could call them parachute pants.
Well, these were the things that mattered, man. You got to remember the Bugle Boy days, right?
Of course.
Bugle Boy jeans, Bugle Boy khakis, shirts. That was the
dude. I remember the time when you wouldn't dare wear Wrangler to school.
Oh no,
you would not wear fucking Wrangler. And if you did have Wranglers, you found a way to hide that shit. You fucking delabeled it. You wouldn't wear you.
You could barely wear Lees, man. Stuff. Yeah, I'm not even picky about that stuff, but to this day, because of that, I have this like aversion to Wrangler jeans.
Fuck you, Wrangler.
Yeah, it's no, it's like it's not, and I look at them. It's not even that they look bad or anything like that, but it's just we came up in that time that you did not wear Wrangler.
You didn't wear fucking Wrangler. Like if you wore Wrangler, that was equal to going out in the middle of the busiest fucking intersection in your city and admitting that you're a loser. Hi, I want y'all to know that I have committed to being a number one loser in the area. Here's my Wrangler tag right here to prove it. Well, I mean, it was amazing how things were, you know.
I think as Gen Xers, something that was interesting about the way we grew up was when we were kids, you know, like it was still somewhat cool when we were real young, at least when I was coming up, to play cowboys, right? To be like, oh, I want to be a cowboy and stuff like that. But then, you know, like that
Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, but that was one of the things that I remember, though, like the stigma being attached to rank. You know, like I remember hearing other kids say to, you know, a guy wearing Wranglers, "What, you think you're a cowboy?"
You know, stuff like that. There's a problem with it if you're talking about real cowboys. If you're talking about cowboys and Indians as kids, you know, which is so funny because we also saw the destruction of that because nobody called it cowboys and Native Americans. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody was like, hey, let's go play cowboys and Native Americans. Huh?
Right.
You know? I mean, it's funny, but like I never heard it like Cowboys and Sioux or Cowboys and Cherokee, you know? It's never been that. I've never heard anybody try to bring it back either. Like, okay, let's keep Cowboys and Indians going in a different way. No, nobody.
Right. But me and a buddy the other day, we were talking about, you know, like the playground equipment that we had at our schools, the school playgrounds. I'm not even talking about public ones.
Oh my God, dude, they were literally killer toys, not cool, but toys
we had this
that would kill you.
We had this thing that we called the Caterpillar, okay, and it was literally made out of like 2-inch tubular steel and railroad ties. And it like kind of undulated like a snake would. And so the railroad ties sat on top of this tubular steel. And the point was you were supposed to climb up the railroad ties like 15 feet in the air or something like that, and then climb back. And we did it, you know, and we fell off. And, you know, and underneath us, of course, to make sure we were safe was gravel.
Dude, when we got hurt as kids, it was I broke my arm, I broke my ribs. I'm not kidding. We weren't like, oh, I'm hurt. We were like, I broke my arm. I got to go home. That was what ended your fucking, if you got hurt, you broke something. It wasn't like you got a bruise and you busted, you know, you definitely didn't go home over a raspberry on your knee. That was the last thing that you'd fucking go home over.
Think about this. Somebody asked me this the other day and it really made me think. When's the last time when you've been out in public that you've seen a kid in a cast?
Say that again. When's the last time out in public you've seen what?
A child in a cast.
Oh, yeah. No, because everybody's scared their kid's going to fucking... And if they do break a bone, they're like grounded. That fucking kid can't go out in public until the bone is mended and he's using it normal again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like when we were growing up, that was like... You know, every couple of weeks there was a new kid in my class.
New kid in a cast.
You know, like,
dude, there was one buddy of mine. I mean, actually, I had two friends, and I kid you not, they would break arms like most of us had bloody noses. You know what I'm saying? Like they just broke their bones easily, right? And we were out one night, and this one was Richie, and we were jumping over just this littlest. What do you call it? Like a little creek, but it's not even a creek, man. More like a offset on the side of the fucking road. You know what I mean? Just a ditch, right?
A culvert.
And we're just jumping that. We're just jumping over it, and he ended up missing it and went down. And dude, I mean, to give you an idea of the difference, like he didn't scream, he didn't yell. He was like, fuck. And we were like, what? We were all like 12, 13. And we're like, he's like, I broke my arm. I got to go home now. I can't fucking stay out. It wasn't that I got to go to the hospital. It's that my night is now over because I broke my arm, not because I want to, not because I'm writhing in pain, you know? And it was funny, dude. On that particular case, I was actually spending the night with Richie. So we went home and like, I didn't even go to the fucking hospital with him. He went to the hospital. I stayed with the guys. Like, I didn't need to go. And literally he was home 3 hours later, fucking outside with us playing flashlight tag at the end of that night.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was a skater.
That's how it was, dude. And I mean, I don't know if you heard that, but the truth was less than 3 hours for him to go to the ER, get his bone mended, wrap it with a fucking cast, get him back home. That's not bullshit. That's just 1980 fucking 4, man.
Yeah, yeah. I was a skater growing up, so it was always something, and I remember one time, we were at a park and my buddy had his parents' car and he says, hey, he goes, grab onto the bumper. So, me being, idiot 16-year-old
Come on, man,
kid,
do Back to the Future. You can do it.
And to be even cooler, of course, I didn't even have a shirt on. So there I am in a pair of shorts, some Chuck Taylors, and holding on to the bumper of my buddy's freaking mom's Dodge Omni, and we're going and he's going and he keeps going and it's getting faster and faster. And all of a sudden I hear him, let go, I got to stop. So I let go and I go sailing by him, and all of a sudden doesn't a rock lock right underneath the front wheel of that skateboard, and I go flying in the air and land right on my chest, road rash all the way down from shoulder to thighs, backs of my hands. I couldn't even catch myself. I was like 16.
Yeah, see, you were an adult early age, right? What I mean by that is you were early side of adult. When I was 6, and you can't see it right now because I got this thing growing here, which I love your fucking beer, by the way. But when I was 6,
is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah, I have a chin scar because I was in. And you got to hear all this. This is absolute. You can't make this shit up, dude. First of all, in San Francisco, one of the most extreme hilly places in the world, right? But my mom was gay, and it was the perfect place to be in 1978 if you were gay. Plus, her lover at the time got a scholarship to law school in San Francisco, so that was a no-brainer. But I would go to fucking summer school, and I decided, I told the story. I had a whole show where I told this whole story, so I'll make it quick. But I decided I was going to be a badass and not only go down, and I'm not even a year riding my bike now. I had just recently conquered off of training wheels. Do you understand? I wasn't a year off of training wheels, and I'm in San Francisco, and I'm like, I'm going to go fucking handless. I'm going to no hands down a San Francisco hill. I just want you to think about it. That's not going to, I wouldn't even do that today. If I was the best fucking biker in the world, I wouldn't do that for this very reason. It took literally microseconds for the front wheel to go boop, 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 and then just turn completely. The bike stopped, and I just went flying like fucking did a Superman down the fucking hill. And dude, my chin, my mom came and picked me up, and they pulled the fucking rag away from my chin, and she nearly fainted because a big piece of meat came away with my But I was 6, dude, and like I wasn't even crying at that time anymore. I cried when it happened. I'm not gonna say I didn't cry then, but by the time my mom got there, I wasn't crying anymore. I barely felt any pain. I felt the pain of them shooting me up because they shot it up with like basically Novocaine, so they could sew me up. But yeah, dude, that ended up going.
I got a good shin scar too. I have a good one. When I was 7. For a lot of my life, my mom didn't even have a phone at the house, and so we would walk down. There was a restaurant a few blocks from our house, and we would use the payphone so my mom could go talk to whoever she needed to. And it was winter time, and there was where the payphone was. There was a stockade fence around the parking lot. And the snow had been plowed up onto the fence, and so I was like 7 years old, and I was like, "Oh, I can be able to see over the fence." And so I climbed up on that. I climbed up on that snowbank while my mom was on the phone, and leaned up over to the fence to see what I could see, and the snow gave way underneath me, and I got impaled on the fence. And my mom had to climb up there and lift me off of it and everything. And I forget how many stitches. Yeah, Yep.
Yeah. So you have
Yep.
I have the one that's right on the chin, but
Oh,
you
okay.
have one.
Okay. Yeah, mine's up
I mean, like,
underneath. Yep.
because mine,
Yep.
mine is. Think of it like my chin pulled a brake stop. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yep.
And you did that sounds. Have you ever seen Hot Fuzz? Have you ever seen Hot Fuzz? I don't know what happened there. That was
Oh,
weird.
yes. Yep. Yeah, I have.
Yeah, the dude on at the
Yep.
end when
Yeah, yeah.
you literally Fuzz, dude. That's
Yep.
crazy. That just
That's
hurts
funny.
thinking about it. That all of a sudden that reminds me of I was a little older. I'm trying to remember. I think I was 15, maybe 14, and I was playing outside at our house, and then we had just gotten first of all, the house was still early or new construction. Like my dad built the house. I mean, so if you know what I mean by early and new construction, I mean there's fucking debris everywhere. Like there's just debris everywhere. And I tripped and fell on a fucking nail, dude. That did not. I don't know how it didn't just chip off and maybe go off the side, but it literally impaled my finger, chipped the knuckle bone, and went through out the top. So I had to I was like, all right, I'm not pulling that through. So I had to take the board with me to the hospital. I was like, I'm not fucking pulling that through. I was like, already, and the moment it happened, I was like, great, that means tetanus right there, because I hadn't had a tetanus in fucking forever.
Oh.
Yeah, fucking can't. My son just had to get one of those again.
I will tell you. I will tell you this: the worst shot that I've ever had in my life is when I got to basic training. They give you this. I think it's called tricillin. It's like 3 different
right. It's a
types
multi
of penicillin.
fucking. Yeah.
Right in the ass cheek. First day of basic
you
training.
Can't sit down for like
no.
I mean,
dude, you think that tetanus in the arm is bad, and I'll grant that to anybody.
Right, it'll render your arm useless for some people. Like the next day, they're like, I can't fucking use my arm. Yeah. But I know what you're talking about.
You don't understand though how much you use your butt muscles in a day, especially when you're doing something like basic training. And it's absolutely, you trust me, you get that shot and you know it. You know, every time you use that muscle, man, it is the worst.
Dude, I've had not the exact same one you're talking about, but I've had one in the buttocks. And I would rather have it in the arm all day, man.
Yeah.
You can still
unreal.
You can still move around and function, even though it hurts. If it's when it's those kind that you're talking about, dude, you literally you can't sit comfortably, you can't walk comfortably. The only thing you really can do is stand the fuck still and try not to move, and then it doesn't hurt.
Yep, exactly. And of course, there's no way the drill sergeants are letting you do that. So
no, you're not going to do that, especially if it's the beginning of fucking basic training. They're like, the last thing they're going to do is move still or sit still.
Yeah, you know how many front back goes and sit-ups we did during the couple days after getting that shot?
Dude, that reminds me of when I first went. Oh, exactly. They wanted you to know it. I remember going to military school, and it really wasn't any different, except they just started putting us through it earlier. Like I was a freshman in high school, and dude, I mean, by the end of the first day, on a person that hadn't done a fucking push-up in the whole summer because I hadn't been in PE since the previous year, right? Within the first hour and a half, I must have done 200 and 250. And I was like, I didn't even know I could do 250 fucking push-ups, dude. And I'm serious. Like the military and military schools, they find out just how many push-ups you can actually do.
Yep. Oh, well, I'll tell you, even once you get out of basic, when I was with Deuce 4 with 25th ID, our first sergeant, it was a guaranteed, if we had a holiday weekend, like a 3-day weekend or something like that, it was a guarantee that when we came back, that at PT, we were going to do a 10-mile run.
Right.
He's
gonna take up the slack. I know you've been slacking off for a whole day. You didn't do shit.
Exactly.
We're gonna get it back in the run here. Our normal 5 mile, it's a 10 mile.
Eating, drinking, smoking, doing whatever you wanted to do, and guess what? Now you're gonna pay for it,
Do you think you were gonna get away with it, Mary? No, you weren't. It's not gonna happen like that. I'm sure your drill sergeant was like most and call it. It's always fucking females that they call it. Listen here, Susan. My name's Jimmy. All right, Janice. Now get over here.
Well, here I'll let you in on one of the little secrets out there. So how like you'll hear like the Red Cross talk about that they're always thankful because the military is one of their largest donors of blood, and well, the real reason for that is because in the military regulations, if you volunteer to give blood, you get the day off. So
everybody volunteers to give blood.
Every one of us was given blood.
Nobody misses an opportunity for free AWOL.
Yep. We did that all the time.
I get the day off. I can go on leave and no problem. You swear to God.
Yep. I can go
just
back
because I gave blood for 20 minutes. Fucking A. Yeah, man.
Yep. Dude, and I will tell you this. When I went into the military, I still had a phobia of needles, but getting those days off got me over that phobia real quick.
Yeah. I had a phobia of needles. Mine was a little bit different. I had a phobia, probably not as strong, but I did have a slight phobia of needles, and that went away when I was 19 and realized that I could donate plasma for marijuana money.
Okay.
Just so you know. I was like, oh, wait, I can get free money twice a week for the white blood cells, and you're not going to take the red ones? Right. All right, cool. Sign me up. Dude, and nowadays, I don't know if you know, but nowadays these people are getting 60, 65. Some of them are getting even $70 twice a week for giving an hour's worth of plasma.
Right. So now, I just got to ask you this question. It's off the wall, and I'm high now, so the weird questions come out. But this is just an opinion.
Off the all. Here we go. Off the all question.
No judgments at all.
You're judging me. I know you're judging me.
No. This is a hypothetical situation. Well, not really hypothetical because it actually happens, but
we'll call it a stone pathetical. A stone pathetical.
What do you think it's like? And I don't know because I've never done this. Maybe you have, and if you have, maybe you can tell me. But what do you think it's like for somebody who, like say in college or whatever, they were very, very active sperm.
Back up. Hold on. Very, very active. Hold on. They were very, very active. Say it again, please, sir.
Sperm donors.
Oh, okay. So
they
what do you think it's like? So go back to it. I get it. So we're talking about a sperm donor that was very active when they were young, like in their 20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think it would be like? Being 30s, family, maybe 40s with a family, and knowing that potentially there could be hundreds of your kids out there. And again, no judgment on whether this is
I get it, dude. First of all,
did you see the story?
No, I don't have any judgment on it at all. Like people there's so many reasons for babies other than just
absolutely
families. Like, just so you know, I mean, like there's people that can't, like a woman who maybe had a hysterectomy when she was fucking 12 years old with choice because that needed to happen. So they want a kid. Right. I mean, there's 50 million ways to leave your lover. Having said that, I have no issue with it. I have no problem. There was one of the funniest stories I thought I ever read. And when I say funny, I'm truly meaning funny, peculiar, and funny, ha ha, because it just shows you what time and day and age we live in. But there was a doctor, I don't know if you saw this, but he has dozens to hundreds of kids, dude, because he was getting these women pregnant with his sperm rather than the fucking donated sperm that he had. He was getting,
I did hear
I mean, he
about
had
that.
so many kids. It's ridiculous, dude.
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
I was like, are you?
But I feel like that's
Sorry,
a
I just saw
different
his.
kind. I feel like that's a different kind of person, though.
Yes, that is
You
a
know
different
what I
kind of
mean?
person. Now, what I would imagine, here's what's going to be funny. Here's what's going to be funny. Okay. We started these sperm banks, and I just want you to think about this because I love to look at those future scenarios, you know, just to have fun, right? But we started these banks for all the right reasons. Now, at some point, the people, all the records are actually saved. They don't destroy them. Okay. They save them. They know which sperm got injected into which twat. They know. Okay. Having said that, one day there's going to be some kind of ruling, mark my words, where that information is given. It goes public because for whatever reason, it's going to be, most likely the reason will be, this should be public information because you should know and have the right to know who your parents are. So if these, because what's going to happen, these kids that find out they were a donor, they're gonna be like, I want to know who my fucking dad is. I want to know what dude jerked off in a fucking jar and made me. I don't care what I got to do. And they'll do it and they'll find out. And then all that information, here's the total hypothetical that I'm gonna go with. Some poor Joe who was like the fucking winner, you know, at some local bank because he was like just everything, perfect everything that every woman like, I want that guy. I want that guy. He's going to have a lot of kids all of a sudden find him, you know, like, hey, Dad, what the fuck happened, man? I was making good money for the sperm donation. Didn't know I was going to make 25, 30 kids.
Well, there was if I remember right, there was a Vince Vaughn movie that I think was based loosely on a true story. Where
wasn't there was a Vince Vaughn movie about babies, something babysitting,
the adult or late teen kids tracked him down, and I think the reason why was because one of them had like a terminal illness or something. Like they all figured out that they all had the same dad,
right?
And then so they all met and got to know each other. One of them had a terminal illness, and so I don't know, they needed to know something about their history, and so they actually figured out who the dad was and tracked him down. And
I have one for you. You're gonna love this because it's off the wall, and I know it's off the wall, but it's not.
Hey, real quick, I just got to turn my camera off for a second, but ask your question, okay? I can still hear you, so go ahead and.
Okay, so all I was gonna say is we all remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito movie. They are doing a third one, and I'm pretty sure the third one has, if it's not Eddie Murphy, it's some other black dude. But there's now a third twin, so triplets. And they're black, which I thought was like, did it really need to be done? I know I'm white, and I don't understand white privilege. I get that. I will admit to it, but I'm also Native American. And I'm Cherokee Blackfoot, so I understand a lot more than people realize. Plus, I was long-haired, tattooed, and fucking covered earrings, shit like that in the 90s, and I had people literally walk the other way because they were scared of me. Okay, so I have dealt with prejudice, but I don't understand why the need. Like, I don't get why there had to be a female Ghostbusters. What was the problem that it was fucking 4 dudes? And if there did need to be, why did it have to be all female? Why not have a team that was half and half?
Here's my argument, okay? And it's in agreement with yours, but mine is even more basic. Why did these movies have to be redone at all?
At all? Yes, I totally agree.
Why couldn't they have just been left alone?
Because they fucking... Dude, can have no new ideas, man.
No,
that's
they're
how
not
sad Hollywood is.
an original story. They're not capable of an original story at all.
No.
You know,
and it's honestly, it's truly, I don't even want to use the word disappointing. It has gotten so disgusting to me because I don't even enjoy watching. Here's what I mean. If it's not a straight ripoff of a sequel or a remake, right? Then the idea that they're doing and presenting has been done 100 times, and they just change the window dressing.
Yep.
And it's still not fresh. And the sad thing is, man, I'm sorry, but if you are in Hollywood and you're like, there's nothing fresh to do, you're full of shit, man. There's nothing fresh that you are willing to do, because they're all worried about how much money they're going to lose if it doesn't work out.
We're dangerously close to one of my conspiracy theory rabbit holes, and
which one is that? Because I know I live in most of them.
So in my opinion, I tend to lean a little bit into this conspiracy theory. Not saying that I believe it 100% to be true, but
shut up and just say it.
There is a lot of people that believe that the reason why we're seeing all of these reboots and everything like that is actually because these are the only types of films that China is okaying as major shareholders in a lot of these Hollywood movie production houses.
I will tell you this. I don't know about that. And what I mean by that is I have no answers to that. But what I do know, and this is not a conspiracy theory, this is a fact that literally makes most conspiracy theories what they are. The people that hold the gold make the fucking rules. And
Absolutely.
People that hold the most gold make all the rules. And everybody
Absolutely.
is answering to somebody. And if you think you're not, you are delusional.
A partial quote, a favorite quote of mine from a favorite movie of mine: history is written by those who have buried heroes and kings.
Yep. And the sad thing is we're making history right now. And there's always people that are like, nothing's happening right now. Are you out of your fucking mind? Have you paid attention to the chaos that has developed since 2012?
Yep.
Since 2012, the amount of chaos has basically doubled each year. So where is it compared to what it was in 12? It's magnificently different. And anybody who doesn't believe me, they just stay buried in their iPhone, which is, by the way, what everybody, I don't care who it is, everybody in power wants you to keep doing this all day instead of actually looking up and waking the fuck up into the world that you trust me. They love it. This is a slave maker. And as much as I use it and love it, it's a slave maker.
Well, see,
that's not a conspiracy theory either, by the way. That's just simple fact.
And after the Hollywood questions there and talk, now you literally, this is like the second thing that is going to be part of my my podcast. But the problem is I finally, I kind of had an epiphany one night not too long ago, and
epiphany.
Yeah,
I'm just messing with you. I was doing Simpsons. Keep going.
But
the Epony lady.
Yeah,
I get it. You had an epiphany, and it was one of those things. I don't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. It was one of those things though, where it's something that but sometimes it's even something that is hard to admit to yourself.
Well, you don't want to. If you have a true epiphany, usually that's not something that you want to necessarily. It's to me, anything that you call an epiphany means it changes your outlook on life. And therefore, you have got to change the way you live life. It's
right.
That's
right.
That's what it is.
Well, and here's the thing. One of the things that is something that's very, very important to me, and I think is lacking a lot and is not talked about enough, is men's mental health. And we have to get to the point where we realize that our mental health is just as, if not more important than our physical health. And so
well, you got one thing there. Part of the problem that you're fighting there is you have these masculine men that don't want to admit that their mental health has to do with anything. No, the only thing that matters is how strong, you know, like, I mean, there's a lot, I'm saying there's always two sides to every story. So
Right.
the problem is, as many guys as you have fighting for mental health and the belief in it, you have guys fighting against it. And those are the same guys that, quite frankly, are probably beating their wives and doing other things like that.
Well,
You know,
here's one of the things. Here's one of the things that I'll say. Like for instance, where I feel like um, the African American community has gotten something absolutely 100% correct, and I think it's why a lot of times their communities have this cohesion that we don't see in suburbia, let's say, or in all these, gated communities out there and stuff like that. And I've touched on it even from us moving, out to the country and everything like that, that we've become a part of, and that is that they are a community.
no, dude. First of all, I'll say this
We,
as a whole, and I mean nothing prejudiced, but I have been a part. I lived when I was in Athens, Georgia, and this is back in the '90s, by the way.
mhm,
I lived right by what was called the Iron Triangle, and it was the known ghetto. And I had
okay.
friends in there, and I mean, it was literally the ghetto. But
Yeah.
everybody knew everybody, and there's
Yeah.
very, very strong understanding of spirituality of some kind with
Yep.
every single person in there. Dude, I lost my dog, and I literally walked into this place where, just so you know, back then you're like, you don't go in there. It's white, right? And I'm like, fuck it, I
Hmm.
don't give a shit. I live on the edge of this, and my dog is gone, and I need, dude, if it wasn't for this older lady who was out on her porch, and she ended up going in and talking to her son, and she was like, literally, she's like, tell my son what you told me, and he will get you. Like, dude, it wasn't he will try. It
Hmm.
wasn't he might. He was, tell my son what you told me, and you will get your dog back. And 48
Hmm.
hours later, I had my dog back.
Yeah. Yep.
Because everybody knows everybody. And when I told him, and he was like, a crack dealer got your dog, and I'm gonna get in touch with him. The only problem that sucked it all, they all knew I was a drug dealer. This is like,
Yeah.
they knew it.
Yeah.
I was lived on the out, so I had to give the
Yep.
guy $100 to get my dog back, but I got my dog back.
Yep. Well, it's funny because we moved. We live pretty rurally now, and I feel more a part of the community where I live now than I ever have anywhere that I've lived in my life. I mean, most of my
I
neighbors are
barely feel like
Amish.
a part of the community here.
Yeah, most of my neighbors are Amish, and they've all come by, said hi, introduced themselves. One of the guys allows me to hunt on part of his property behind me, and stuff. And I do have one neighbor that's relatively close to me, um, but him and I have become friends over the years since we've lived here and everything like that. And he's one of those guys, if I need to borrow a tool and he's got it, I can just borrow it. If he needs to borrow a tool and I've got it, he just comes and gets it. You know what I mean? Like, and we help each other out with all kinds of stuff. And I'll tell you, other places I lived for 10 years next door to the same people and barely even knew their name. And so
That's
many
the way it
people
is,
are
dude. That's
living
what I
such
was gonna say. Like,
detached lives.
it is ever see have you ever seen this movie? It came out, I want to say, around 13, 14, called Disconnected. Does that
I don't
sound
know.
familiar at all?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. I'm gonna make sure real quick, but this was do you remember the movie? uh you'll understand what I know I'm trying to do movie references, but you'll get it. um Oh my God. All of a sudden, I can't remember the fucking film, and it won movie of the year. And I know it. Crash. Do you remember the movie Crash?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you remember how that was like 5, 6 stories that all
Hmm.
came to a point where they came together, right? A real great demonstration, by the way, of everything's for a reason, just on a personal
Yep.
note. Disconnected
Pulp
was
Fiction is my
very
favorite
similar,
type of those.
right? Yes.
Yep.
Disconnected was, and I'm gonna, that's the actual name of it. Are you okay? Well, then fuck you. Disconnected. I don't think. Okay, I'm getting the name of the movie wrong. I know I am. That's not it. It's something else. It's a more digital term. Anyway, dude, it really dealt a lot with the fact of how we're so dependent on our electronics for our socializing now. Mm-hmm. It's not about and this is the truth. Like, you know, you used to go to a bar to meet somebody new, whether it was a male or female. If you were a single person, you would go to the bar because that was where other single people were, right? Mm-hmm. If you were a family man, then you would go to restaurants and bar and grills because that's where other families were having fun with their fucking kids. So it was a like place, you know. Those things now, you could say that still happens, but it doesn't without getting on your phone, reading reviews, checking it out, maybe whatever you got to do to maybe make plans to go to it. You got to go on an app, find out if it's decent, what other parents have said before you just go.
Right.
Like, just get the fuck out of the house, man. Get the fuck out of your phone. What the name was that fuck. What's funny is I told my wife, dude, I really can't stand movies anymore. And we already touched on it, but to end it, every fucking movie is such a formula now. Yeah. I know what's going to happen. I know why they're going to do it. I even know the fucking dumbass jokes that they're going to make. Like it's more than predictable. Yeah. Okay. Predictable is predictable. Formula that's a whole nother, like, they got nothing left, man. You know?
Well, I think it was Tarantino in an interview talked about how
his movies have become a formula. Go ahead.
The exact date that he gave, but I believe it was sometime he says there's been no good movies since, and I think it was like the late 70s sometime. And he talks about how in the 80s movie structures changed, you know, like, you know, if you think about movies in the 70s and stuff like that, the whole good guy, bad guy aesthetic was very blurred, you know, and everything like that.
You should go back. I'll tell you what, it's Christmas time, so now's the time. Go back and watch It's a Wonderful Life, right? Mm-hmm. And then watch Miracle on 34th Street, the 50s version, but then watch the 1994 version of the same fucking story. I'm not saying one is necessarily better than the other. That's not what my argument is right now. What my point is that it's disconnect. That's what it is. Disconnect. I was close.
Okay.
So this is the film. If you get a chance to see it, get a chance, because it's on a group of people searching for human connections in today's wired world. That's a great way of putting it, because it's one of these, all these stories are what seems to be unrelated, you know, until the relation is made. But when it is, you're like, wow, okay. But again, dude, that's a formula now. You know, by the time I love that you point him out, because I remember thinking when Tarantino first came out, I remember seeing Reservoir Dogs, and I was like, dude, this is I loved it, right? And even he'll tell you, if you get him to be, if he's not, you know, trying to hide his truth, he stole that. All he did was redo a script from Japan, number one, where they had become much more liberal, because they were like 20 years behind Hollywood, right? So whatever was going on in Hollywood, it was, you know, that's as simple as way of putting it. And it's not to say that they were bad. They're just, it's no different than anything else. Like, they were catching up, and they had to, you know, that's one of those industries where you have to fucking, what's the word? You have to pay dues in order to know everything that other people, you know, have the knowledge of knowing. But I sit there and watch them today, and they're disgusting. But
well, you think about, I mean, you know, that whole thing, and there's no shame in that at all, because I mean, think about, it's only relatively recently in history that, Bollywood has become a thing, and stuff like that. I mean, you think, I don't really know exactly, but I don't think I really heard of that beyond 10 to 15 years ago.
I don't remember hearing about it 10 years ago. 10. I don't remember hearing. I mean, like, and if I did, I would have been like, huh?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
There, it's been huge for a while because that's,
Right.
and I will say that
Right.
you're talking about, Saudi Arabia, and like they're basically their, whatever the word is, it's their Hollywood. I mean, it literally is the same.
Bollywood is India. Bollywood is the Indian films from India.
Well, India, either way,
Yep.
It's same. Most of the people in Saudi Arabia and India are speaking the fucking same language. So there you go.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're all speaking that a very similar language. If maybe I'm wrong, I'll have to go. But the Middle East is the Middle East. They're both there.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Yeah.
India is definitely the bigger one, which is probably why if you did something, and now I have to find out. I have to know. I can't be a dumbass on my own fucking show. Where the fuck is Saudi Arabia? Saudi. No, it even showed it to me, and then there we go. It's a country in the Middle East. It is a country in the Middle East. Where's India? That's Iran. India. Okay, so here I can show y'all. This prong over here. Oops. Damn it. All right, so
geography,
this is India.
Spirit.
Yeah, with spirit. This is India and this is Saudi Arabia. And they're both Middle East, but they do have a few, major countries in between them, like Pakistan, Afghanistan. I fucking ran.
Kids, can you say I fucking ran?
I fucking ran home.
I knew you could.
Can you say that you fucking rock? I rock. I fucking rock. I fucked a rock. How did you do that? It had a very smooth, large hole in it. It was complicated.
We were just watching Rick and Morty tonight, and it was
has gone to shit. Sorry, we can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. This was
they fucked up, but go ahead.
Episode.
Right. Before we lost Justin.
It was the one with they had gone into and I don't remember all the characters' names, but the mom, she had a imaginary world when she was a kid, and it was a world that Morty had built for her, and she left her friend in there, this kid that she was friends with, she left him in there, and the way that he survived was by screwing the harmless animals that lived in there, and then eating the.
And he made a ton of him. Like the whole world is populated by this fucking dude's imaginary sperm. But go ahead.
Yeah, it was so freaking funny. I was like, oh my gosh, great.
Dude. And the sad thing is, man, I really loved Rick and Morty. The first 3 seasons was outstanding.
Yeah.
Right, like just outstanding. But no offense, once he got the big 10-year or 8-year contract, whatever it was, when anybody gets an 8 or 10-year contract for millions of dollars, it changes the whole scope of the creative juices. Period.
Yeah, and they get syndication, so they know they're going to be getting
right. They also here's the thing. They also there's that. Plus, they know now that they have a ton more people that they have to answer to, and that they have to please. If they're on that kind of a contract, there's a board of directors that's paying them that contract. You know what I mean? Right. And like, you got to make sure that our share, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, that started the downfall of it. Then, I don't know if you know the whole story, but Justin Rowland, the guy that does like 90% of the voices of Rick and Morty, right?
Yep.
Including both Rick and Morty,
right, was
accused of sexual misconduct.
Oh,
and the moment he got accused, Disney through Adult Swim, right? Because it's all owned by Disney,
Yep.
But Adult Swim basically dumped him and said, they killed his contract. All of his sponsors and everything dumped him. All the Rick and Morty, like he got dumped. And then it quickly came out that he was innocent.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So now they're totally fucked. They have hired. They won't go back and rehire and be like, hey, sorry. They've just hired someone else to do Rick and Morty altogether. So the guy that wrote it and acted out Rick and Morty is no longer doing Rick and Morty at all.
Right.
Nor is he doing Solar Opposites, which is his other show on Hulu, another Disney-owned company.
Yep. So you bring up Disney. Do you know about the
I'm sorry. Did I say Disney? I meant Satan.
Yeah.
Satan.
Yeah.
Satan.
Do you know about the Disney porn conspiracy?
No, this is good.
So
no,
the Disney porn conspiracy is that, and I don't know. I believe this just relates to, I guess what I would call the Disney Classics illustrators.
Right.
But supposedly, like when they were doing like Cinderella and Snow White and everything like that.
Right. Like back in the 60s or 50s.
Yeah. These illustrators also did pornographic versions of these cartoons and that they're actually in the Disney vaults. Now, the conspiracy goes further in that depending on which way you go, if I'm remembering it right, that it was either done as a form of a revolt against not getting paid enough, and Disney settled with these illustrators and then confiscated all of them and locked them away in the vault so the world would never see them.
Right.
Or the other one was that they were made to draw these by Disney to be used as some form of blackmail against them of some sort.
May I say a couple of things? Just my gut instinct when I hear this one. I mean, and I don't want to hurt your feelings if you believe in it, though. So
I don't have an opinion either way. I just think it's an interesting conspiracy.
So my thing is, if these existed, which I highly doubt that they would. Here's the thing, man. If something like this actually got made, list off 10 reasons, right? And let's say that you get it right with any of them. Not you personally. I'm just talking about, let's say you get it right with any conspiracy that with 10 you have. Hold on one second. I'm going to do this tab. The reality is the evidence would have been destroyed. So there's no one keeps it for like that. That's a fucking is movie plot bullshit. People do not keep it. Right. The moment that they can fucking destroy evidence, like I hate it in movies. Somebody gets it, and then it's got to go across town and somewhere else. The moment you get it, you fucking destroy it. There is no goddamn doing this shit and doing this. If you have evidence, and if I get rid of that evidence, I go free. I'm destroying it the moment I get my hands on it.
I always love in the movies, like the guy is being blackmailed, and somebody has some sort of evidence, so he hires
made
somebody.
7 copies.
Yeah, he hires somebody to go steal the evidence, and instead of telling them, once you get the evidence, destroy it immediately. Right,
bring it back to me.
Bring it back to me always.
No,
and
no.
That always works out perfectly for them.
Well, here's the thing: they buy it because they're like, if he's the boss, he knows what's on there, but his henchman doesn't know, what's on there, and doesn't want anybody to know. That's the point. If anybody knows, they have a finger up. So, their loophole in the movies is that they usually, when they're sent, somebody like that is sent to go get something, they don't know that it's a blackmail or one-time copy or something like that. They just I've been told to go do this by the guy that threatens my cock,
Right.
So,
right. Yep.
But no, I mean, and here's the funny thing though, with back to this other one, with the Disney. I think what that is, and I mean this, That is like, fuck the fact that it's a conspiracy theory. That's the kind of shit that I would like to sit and write a fucking novel on and make it a fucking story that it did have. Because you can write anything now.
Right.
You're allowed to write
absolutely.
anything. You know what's even better than not only can you write anything, but you can tell everybody that anything is the truth, even when you know it's not. If you don't believe me, look up the fucking movie and series Fargo, people, because that's a true story. The names have been changed. The names have changed, so you know. But you can literally legally say that that's the truth if it's in the name of entertainment. We were just, I just had a conversation today, and my wife and I and my mom were talking about names. And get this, this is a liberal fucking country. I don't know that you could. I think you could actually legally name your kid the N-word. Sad enough. You can name your kid king, queen, prince. You can name all that, right? All that you can have. You can name them stupid. They're like, they don't even stop, dude. They won't. America is like the most liberal. Other places have stopped so many people from, because what's sad is if you think it, somebody's tried to name their kid that.
I was just going to say there. I think it was the UK, and I was thinking, when you and I do these shows together, we got to get a producer that can Google this stuff for us.
Right, can be our fact guy. Up, exactly.
And but I think it was in the
UK
back,
Philip.
That there was a couple that they got in trouble and they weren't allowed to name their kids because they were their son. They were going to name him like Adolf something Hitler.
Yeah.
And
oh, dude, no, there is a couple. Get this, in Jersey. In Jersey, they were actually banned because I wonder if I still have it open because I don't believe I closed the. So here's one. The one you're thinking of, right? A UK intervened after a British woman named her twins Cyanide and Preacher.
Oh, okay.
Reason for ban: the moniker might bring harm to the child in the future, and the name means a deadly fucking poison. So you're going to name your kid. Yeah. And this came up. This whole conversation started because it was like, I wonder if anybody's named their kid Satan, because somebody's tried. Oh, they have, and so here's the Adolf Hitler Campbell was it was several countries have prevented future children from the name genocide, but the United States isn't one of them. Here we're known for laxing laws. A New Jersey family created controversy in 2008 when they ordered a birthday cake with the 3-year-old's name on it, Adolf Hitler Campbell. So that's the kid's name. They started controversy because the makers, I think, were like, we're not going to make that. We're not doing that. But like New Zealand and Mexico and Malaysia and Germany have all banned it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was the name of one of the worst. Get this, in Japan, Akuma is devil. Akuna. Right? Japanese officials had to protect the child from mockery, they felt, because some fucking parents wanted to name their kid devil.
Oh, dude, speaking of that,
it's the same thing as Satan.
Have you watched Blue-Eyed Samurai on Netflix?
No, but I think I've seen the preview for that. Dude, it looks good.
Check it out. It was good, man. I'm hoping. I think they are going to have a second season. I'm just hoping it comes out quickly because it was very, very good. If you like, like the ancient Japanese type stories and everything like that, it's very, very good.
You'll love this one, dude. Get this. This is for everybody. This is for the fans in the house. For everybody. Australia. Name that was banned: Bonghead. One can only assume it means someone with a water pipe for a noggin. Reason for ban: it's offensive. Though the state of Victoria released a list of 46 banned names in 2016, Australia only outlaws 17 especially derogatory ones.
Oh, Lord, that's funny.
Bonghead.
That's great.
I think that's hysterical. That's classic, man.
I got to imagine in most of the UK, Ireland, Scotland, I got to imagine that I would hope that they would stop someone from naming their kid Bellend, because that's a dick. You know what I mean? So it's like
right, and they also don't let them name them, like, literally over there. You can't do king, queen, prince, because that is reserved for actual royalty.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there a player in the NFL, if I'm remembering right, whose name was actually God's gift?
I wouldn't be surprised, because if they're in America, then they were allowed to do it. But what's funny is, like, there's on the list, there's ones that like godlike and things that have been deemed by most countries, you shouldn't have the right to name your kid that, because it puts an enormous amount of pressure and most likely ridicule. If somebody did have the name God, right, growing up, how fucking picked on are they going to be, dude?
Right.
How picked on,
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing, and that's one of those situations where I think, and it, goes back to something that we touched on, is, we have lost the idea of nuance in this country. We want to make every issue a black and white, good versus evil,
right, one side or the other side.
Yeah, one side or the other side fight, and we remove all the nuance, because as you were, talking about this,
there's a gray area for everything, dude. There's a gray area for everything.
As you were talking about, them having, what kind of ridicule that kid would have and stuff, and I'm thinking in my head, I could totally hear somebody making this a religious thing. You know what I mean? Like turning this into either.
And most likely the person that named him, the people that named him God, didn't do it due to religion. Most likely.
Right. Exactly. Well, and that's my thing is it's one of those things where it's a very nuanced thing, because, on the one hand, you've always got the slippery slope argument. We regulate, this on parents. What's the next thing we decide?
Well, that's why America has such a liberal stance on naming. I mean, in America, you can literally name your kid, the letters XYZ and pronounce it all.
Yeah.
It's it's one of the things that we've talked about, not on the show, but I've talked about with many people. Like it's weird what we could get away with in American.
Dude, you could put 7 consonants together and teach your child that your name is Stephanie. And in today's society, nobody would argue with it whatsoever.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. And how do you spell Stephanie? ZKLMNST.
Hey, what's up, brother? Hold on. I'm just going to give a shout out real quick. What's up, Reese, man? Good to see you, brother. We will be, trust me, we will be seeing each other soon enough, brother. I know that that's a reality. We have all the time in the world, but it'll be happening. It's funny because it's, how do I say, other countries have taken stands. We don't do that as a country, but most of the time, if you go and look at the individual states, they will take a stand. And that's all that matters. If you're living, for instance, the Jersey couple, like if Jersey had, made a law, there's, because the way we have it set up is that, yes, there is Supreme Court. That's the court of the land, the highest court of the land, right? But every state has their own Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Right. And I think even counties have, like, there's a Supreme Court all the way down to, like, it doesn't just stop there. And my point is, you have to follow the laws of the land. But when you try to do something that anybody has common sense to go, that kid's gonna deal with shit, right? I have to agree that if you're the one doing it, unless this kid is going to be sheltered its entire life until it can decide whether it wants to go by that name or not, I would have to almost agree that there is a line that has to be drawn, because people are fucking stupid, Gryz.
Absolutely.
People are dumb, and they will do dumb things to their kids in their 20s or in their. So you're having a kid at 16. You're like, I'm going to name my kid Ice Pick. Come here, Ice Pick.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Just because it's funny. And then that kid is going to be fucking Ice Pick, or better yet, you know, you actually name your kid, Speed Bump. How many people are going to try to hit him?
Yeah.
Hey, Speed Bump. Oh, sorry, man.
Yep.
I'm just saying. I know I'm being ridiculous, but my point is true.
Dude, my favorite news article that I've ever read on this topic was one of the most hilarious things I'd ever seen. The headline caught me right away, and it was Ronald McDonald robs Burger King. And you read down in the article, and some poor schmuck's parents, whose last name was McDonald, thought it'd be hilarious to name their kid Ronald.
I have a friend.
Ronald grows up to work at Burger King, and lo and behold,
and then robs him.
And
of course, my name is Ronald McDonald. I'm taking fucking everything. Yeah. I have a friend, and I will not go any further than to say this. The thing that is most crazy about it to me, and I feel like his parents had to, because I even asked him about it, but he's black, and his parents named him Ronald, and their fucking last name is McDonald. And he was like, yeah, I know, man. Trust me. He's like, I've heard it all. And I knew immediately when he said I heard it all, there's nothing I can ever say to this guy when it comes to a McDonald's reference that he has not already heard. And I don't mean that in a rude way, but I mean, like, damn, it was kind of a challenge in my. I was like, all right, I got to find something that I can. I got to find something fresh that I can say. But no, I never even bothered, only because I was like, why, you know, I mean, it is what it is. Some people, what's funny is I had this conversation, and if you knew my kid's name, some people would be like, how do you, you know, how can you talk? Well, one, my two children with my two youngest are homeschooled, and two, the first two that had incredibly cool names like these, it was never ridiculed. That's all I can say. You know, I didn't name them Tree Stump or something stupid like that, but I didn't name them conventionally either, because to me, if you don't mean this, then don't fucking say it. But since I turned probably 16, I decided that being different was the best thing you could be in this world, because anything less was the same as some other poor schmuck, right? And I don't want to be like anybody else. So I have prided my entire existence on not being like anybody else and doing things like anybody else, all the way down to the name of my kids. Go ahead.
I think not to sound like a grouchy old man or anything like that, but I think that, you know, what you're talking about right there is another one of those things very unique to Gen X. You know, was, you know, you had in the 60s and the 70s, you know, you had the rebellion,
a movement of love, and let's like just all have sex, right?
But it was rebellion in a very
conformed way. Exactly. If you went that, here's the thing, to say it the other way, say it real simple. If you did with the hippies, then you needed to go and believe everything, or they didn't feel like you couldn't just like dip your foot in and be like, I like the part of free sex, but I don't want to necessarily smoke drugs with you. Sorry, you got to do it all, you know?
Exactly. You're all in. You know, but I think coming up Gen X, it wasn't even so much necessarily rebellion, and I think that's one of the things that our parents didn't understand was we weren't necessarily trying to
just conforming, whatever the word is. It's the opposite of conforming.
It was, you know, what we were trying to say is, I can do what you do. I don't have to look like you and act like you to be able to do that, you know? And, you know, you think about it
I can do nothing like you, and I'm still a good person.
Right.
Like, it doesn't mean that I'm bad. I don't, you know.
My point being, when I said I can do what you do, is meaning I can be just as successful as you in life,
but my way,
if not more, but not have to do it your way. You know, the way that you.
I don't have to do it. I don't have to do it by rules.
The way you did it.
I make my fucking rules as I go along, and
Right.
A lot of people get that, but I truly mean it. And I mean it in the most, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but the only time that I've conformed is when I had to, and even then I didn't do it all, but there's, there's times where I've conformed in the eyes of the law. That's the only way I know to say it. It was not true conformity. It was, I made Uncle Sam or Uncle Samantha happy to see me doing it the way that they wanted me to do it so that I could move on with my life. But the fact of the matter is, one of the things that we already touched on the show, he who holds the gold makes all the rules. Well, one of the things that I look at that for, and I say that is, and I don't mean to sound rude, but the more money I make, the less I have to listen to the conformed rules of the land, because the more money you have, the more you can break the rules.
Oh,
and
look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a perfect example of that.
He's such a piece of shit.
I mean,
no offense to anybody who loves, but that guy is just he is the epitome of everything that is bad, and he is like the epitome of a sheep's and wolf clothing.
Why do you, just out of curiosity, why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Well, obviously it's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Number one, I was being
I know that.
sarcastic, because everybody thinks that he's so good and cares so much about this world, and the only thing, and I mean the only thing that matters to him is dollar bills. That's all that matters. That's a sheep or a wolf in sheep's clothing.
And I understand that. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. But what leads you to what
the number one thing? The number one thing is the reality of a Tesla bag and what he has gotten the world to believe. But if you can use them more than twice, I'm very surprised. And the fact is, eventually, the fucking yards are going to be filled with Teslas that have nowhere to go and batteries that have no home. And that's a different type of fucking disposal when you're talking about what was once full of energy.
But that's not unique to Tesla, though. That's EV. That's EVs in general.
You're absolutely correct. But he convinced the world that his cars were good for the environment, when in fact he knew the whole time that those batteries were horrible for the environment.
Right, but the same argument could be made about every other EV manufacturer out there too.
Right, but you asked me why he's a sheep. Why
I'm just clothing. But I'm just saying. I'm like I said, I'm just devil's advocate. You know what I mean?
Okay, but I answer. I mean, I get that you're playing devil's advocate, but that's why. That's why I say that, because he convinces people of one thing, and it's actually the truth of something else.
Right.
And there's more than that. I'm not going to sit and get into it because I don't really like to do politics on the show or religion.
I don't consider that politics, brother.
He's political as fuck. Anytime you're talking about money and power, that's a political conversation. Money and power is political. Where, I mean, you of all people should know that. And I mean that because you've studied theories and understanding of what, if you have money and power, you are dealing with politics in your life, whether it's them coming over for some of your money and power, or whether it's going to them to influence them with your money and power.
But I think you can be bad politically without being a bad person.
Oh yeah.
And I'm, so I mean, and that's where I'm saying that's where I see, some of these conversations as exclusive from each other. You know what I mean? Because
but I'm saying like my other comments would go political as to why.
Oh, okay.
I understand
now. Okay.
Does that make sense now? Like it would.
Yeah.
No. Okay. What I'm saying is, if I went further than just the battery thing, then it would be. I would be giving more than that 10% to the world that I'm not ready to give.
Yep. I have no opinions on him, as far as good, bad, or
where he's from, right? Do you know how he got to be? Do you even know
Africa? Yeah, he's from South Africa.
Right, but do you know why he made all his money?
Yeah, his dad. Well, it depends because there's two stories there. The one story, and I'm not saying, I have no clue which one's right, but the one story and is true. This part of it is his dad was very, very wealthy. Was it oil or something in South Africa? But I know he basically made all of his money on the backs of the natives there, and everything like that. And but and that's where it diverges. A lot of people say that his money came from his dad. Um, and then there's the other side of it that says that basically at a young age, his mother and him moved. I think it was to Canada, and he had nothing to do with his father from then on. And like I say, I have no clue. I haven't looked into it. I don't know what's true, what's not. But those are, if I'm remembering correctly, those were the basis of the two stories that I had heard.
Right. So I want to make sure that what I knew was it, but actually he was one of the co-founders of PayPal, and made all his money, and then
yeah. But
but I mean, like
basically his story is he had no money from his dad, is my understanding, and then there's other people that argue that he did have money to help him out from his dad,
Right.
But
if whether he had it or not, I know that PayPal is what turned him into the ultra rich.
Oh yeah.
That's what, and then he essentially did two other companies, right? Because then he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go with cars and space.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And what I was saying as far as good, bad, or indifferent, I don't have an opinion that way. I think that when he's talking about technology and stuff like that, I think he has an uncanny ability to be able to bring that down, to a very, very understandable level. Which I think is fascinating, because usually people that are as intelligent as he is don't have the ability to be able to do that. On the other hand, I think the guy's creepy as fuck.
I personally find him. I find him to be. I feel like he is. What's the one word I'm looking for? Condescending.
Yeah.
He thinks that his shit doesn't stink, and that every decision out of his fucking little brain is the best decision that the world could ever hope for. And I'm sorry, but even Einstein didn't have that ability.
But again, I think that goes back to your original comment, though, that got us talking about him, was that being at a point where you can make enough money where you don't care. You know what I mean?
And that's what happens. See, and right. And I talk from that position. Not, I want people to know, like, I know some people are like, how would you know? Well, I've actually had so much money. You don't have to have Tesla money to get feeling the power of money. Right. And what I mean by that is, once you are making so much money that you cannot outspend it rather than the amount coming in, when your outflow is huge and it's still not enough to take out a day's inflow, then you're like, okay, I'm making filthy amounts of money, and you get cocky.
Or I'll make this argument. When you get to your point in your life where you've arrived, where it's your personal ship has come in, let's say, you've got the home you want, the life you want, all the things you want, and everything like that. Because I don't think
there's
that
no material wants or needs that you deal with.
Yes, exactly. And so now all of your money is coming in, and stuff like that. You've got backup money for emergencies. You may not be wealthy, let's say, but that pretty much anything could happen and you're going to be okay.
Exactly. And I mean, all I can say is I didn't even, when I was back living in it, I did not consciously feel myself changing. I didn't consciously see myself going from being to this conceited person. But that's one of the points that I make, is that you would see it. I would see it now. But is it, what I ask myself is it because I've already been there and know better, or is it because I'm simply in my 50s and already learned and know better? And I can't really determine that, because here's what I look at. Elon's basically the same age as me, and I don't think he's ever going to stop being any less evil. He's evil Musk, you know? It's like, I mean, the guy is just like, and don't get me wrong, man, I don't have much love for Bezos either, and I don't care if people say they think it's jealousy. Dude, for you to become one of the richest men in this world, you've been a real dick to a lot of people. And if anybody here thinks any different, then they do not understand what having that kind of money is. Most likely, and this isn't a conspiracy theory, this is fucking reality. Men have died. Women have died. Children have most likely died because those two men needed to make more money.
Look up. You want to, and you brought up, the whole thing with like, EV cars and everything like that. Get in, you want to dive down that rabbit hole for real. And I'm talking to our listeners and stuff like that. Look up even just images. You don't even have to go very far. Google cadmium. Yeah, now I can't say it because I'm high, but cadmium mines. Mines.
Cadmium. Look up that. But how about this? Look up Tesla death crashes that were a complete car's fault. How about just that?
But here's my argument though. Here's my whole thing though, is that whole entire industry is a lie. It's 100% a lie. And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's the truth of the matter is that the modern diesel engine is from start to finish the cleanest and best that you can have for the environment right now with the technology that we have.
Back in 80s, okay, this is the 80s. Oldsmobile put out a car that was a 4-cylinder that broke the land speed record for speed. And one of the things that they talked about back then on that special, and it was probably a slip, because lots of times the guys don't think about what they're saying when they're out there in the field and the camera's running. They don't. But they're like, we have the technology to get as many miles out of a gallon as we want to.
Oh yeah.
They don't, because if they got 300 miles out of a gallon, then these fat cats wouldn't get fucking rich sitting at making money on the oil.
Dude, seeing that now you're going down another rabbit trail.
But that's not a rabbit hole. That is not like, dude, anybody who doesn't believe that has not studied the fucking oil wars of the goddamn our own country.
Don't believe the hype that conspiracy theories are evil. A conspiracy theory is not evil. A conspiracy theory is exactly that. It is a theory that there's a conspiracy going on to keep the truth from most people. And sometimes they can be proven.
Is nothing more than a conspiracy theory that has gone from being a theory to being what people take as belief now. So it's no longer called a conspiracy theory.
Look at the Gulf of Tonkin. Look up the Gulf of Tonkin. It was a conspiracy theory for years. And the US government has finally come out in the last, I think, 8 years or so, and has admitted that it was a false flag operation perpetrated to get us into Vietnam. Period. That's what it was.
You also, one thing that Americans do
happen and they don't come true, they do.
One thing that Americans do too, and I love it, is that we always put a statute of limitations on how long you can keep a lie here. They're like, hey, we'll let you keep this lie.
Yep.
But in 60 years, that's gone. You're going to be dead. We know you'll be dead. Your family will have to deal with it, but you'll be dead.
Yep. It won't matter.
But we're going to tell the truth about how much you fucked this whole world, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the truth, dude. Like,
how
many times has it come out? What's funny is to come back a few strokes, if you will, on the Me Too generation. I truly believe there's a lot of women who have been molested. And I want to say that right off the bat. I am married to a beautiful woman and I love her. I'm the son of a lesbian woman who's a very beautiful woman too. And I care more about women's rights probably than the average man. I know I do. And understand it probably more than the average man, quite frankly, because I was raised by lesbians. But I was literally even talking to my mom about this. I was like, it is really hard to believe a woman who waits 13 years to come forward on a guy. I don't care how powerful they are. Now, I do not have the privilege of ever having a twat. I've only had this, so I get that there. I've had penis privilege, if you will. You know, if you want to talk about it, there truly, I love it. I love the scene just real quick in Office Christmas Party when he's praying and he's like, well, I'm white, I'm rich, I'm straight. It's hilarious because he's like, he does everything that's not a minority in the United States, right? Including even having money. So, I mean, I get that I have some penis privilege and that I don't understand what life is for a woman. But obviously, a lot of women feel the same way because I've had this conversation with others, and they, you know, like if somebody crossed the line majorly, like touched you, abused you, masturbated in front of you, right? Like forced you to watch them masturbate, which, by the way, I want to know how somebody forces you to watch them masturbate and you're not tied in the chair. I just, on a side note, if you're not tied down with your eyes pinned open like it's fucking Clockwork Orange, oh yeah. He forced me with toothpicks and bungee cords.
Yeah. Well, I think especially in those instances where it's years and years later like that, you know,
you have to question it. Here's why you have to question it. Let me say this. Let's go with both sides. Let's say it's true, right?
Yep.
If it's true, why wasn't it? Oh yeah, he is a true crap. I get. Oh wait, hold on. Scored up. There we go. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Bex, just so you know, we're both going to end up having to watch this thing back to even know what we've been talking about. So it's all right.
Yeah. I won't remember a thing tomorrow. The reason I even brought this up is there's a new, you know, but let me go back on the scenarios first. So it's true. If it's true, I want to know why you took so long. Now, if you have a true good reason, to me, I don't want to call that an excuse. If you have an actual legitimate reason, like, you know, and a legitimate reason to me is the guy threatened you, you know, threatened your life, threatened your family's life, something like that, right? But it feels fishy when I hear somebody come up to somebody 13 years later and say, this guy did this, you know, forced me, he touched me wrong, he propositioned me wrong, and he forced me to watch him masturbate. Right? You're telling me that it's been 13 years. Okay. First of all, there's no PTSD that you're suffering anymore. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are, but you're not suffering PTSD from that fucking segment of your life. Number one. You know, number two, if you were that suffering, then you would have talked to a doctor who would have been like, you need to tell somebody, right?
Yeah.
To say something. Number two, if it's real. And I should say, again, if it's real, then that person knows it. And what I mean by that is the one that committed it. Right. They knows it. They know it's real. So you're going to get a big ass paycheck in this day and age. You're going to get a big paycheck. Let's go with it's not real. Okay. If it's not real, it's just your word against theirs. That's all it is. It's 13 years ago. There's no video. There's no footage. And I mean, maybe I'm not saying that there couldn't be 13 years ago. We had iPhones. Okay. I acknowledge that. But or whatever has happened has been destroyed, has been lost. And what I look at is it's almost basically a he said, she said, and it feels really fishy when I hear, okay, he did those three things, and then the next day I was fired.
Right.
Now, I know that fits in a very real mold. I get
Yeah.
that. There's a very real mold of people who have suffered that real thing. They were molested and then they were
Right.
taken, their jobs were taken away. Most of them
Right.
come forward usually pretty quickly, though.
Right. Well, and and I'm going to say something that's probably going to be a little bit unpopular, and I'm really not making a judgment when I say this. I'm not trying to advocate that this was right or anything like that. But one of the things, growing up again, going back to the whole, Gen X time frame, like, I mean, how many girls did you know that got groped in the back seat of a car?
Right. I never did it.
Up.
I can honestly say I did not crawl. I was talking to my mom. What's funny is, I don't know where you're going, but we were talking about it. Most men have done something questionable in their past, whether it was questionable at that time or whether they went back and looked at it later on in life, go, oh wow, I really crossed the line there.
Right. Well, and I'm not even talking about it necessarily. I guess I'm definitely not talking about a forcing, somebody being forced upon you or anything even representing a rape or anything like that. I'm more talking about, the whole, like, you're
I know what you mean.
Two teens making out in the back seat, and
somebody grabs the tit and you keep pushing. Right.
That's
I
the
totally
stuff
get
that
it.
I'm talking about, and stuff. And so I think that's sometimes where women don't understand where men come from when we have certain opinions about these things. Like we're talking about, when somebody's being accused of something that happened back in high school, we're looking at it and going, well,
or even in their 20s, man, guys in their 20s.
Well, and where I'm going is he an evil guy or was he just a horny teenager?
Right. No, I totally get it. I mean, like, for instance, when I was 15 or maybe even 14, I can't remember exactly what it was, but so quick backstory, and this is just the life that I lived, but one of the girls that I had attraction to ended up becoming my sister, my stepsister.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Our parents, and the whole reason that they even happened was because I carpooled with her. And when she got a divorce, she started dating my dad. They got married. They had kids. I got half sisters, right? But the relationship with this one particular girl started out as us going together at 12 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
Skip forward, I'm like 14, 15. I have gone out and had beers. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because to me, this is the worst thing I ever did in my life, and I felt horrible for it. Okay.
Yep.
But I came home drunk and I basically crawled into a room and put my hand up on her tit. I was fucking not even 16, dude. What bothers me about people, including my sister, who's only 6 months younger than me, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So this female who's only 6 months younger still makes me pay for that today. Like I would do it again today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And I have fucking children, bitch. You have had children. What the hell? Like to hold something like that against somebody, particularly as a teenager.
Yeah.
Right. Is ridiculous.
Yep.
But what I even told her, I was like, we went together. I was like, I don't understand how we didn't actually ever do something because there was a time when we were fully attracted to one another.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it just soured us because we became brother, sister. I mean, what are you going to
do? Yeah. One of the things that I think is funny about these younger generations now is, the girls think that, that they're that they've got a lock on, being essentially promiscuous. And it's like, dude, man, I was the most oblivious guy in the world. Like I did not I'm really good on reading people, but I'm not good on picking up like on, if people are attracted to me or flirting with me or anything like that. I've
not
always
good
been
at
one of
picking
those
up
guys.
signs from females.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to everybody, so it's just, it's always been one of those things where it just was never out. They're just talking to me, and stuff. And so, I can tell you this, I've been groped by, like in high school, I was groped by all the, every party I went to, and I was, because it was like that was the only thing there. I was like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, I was just, I don't know.
Dude, what's funny is if you go back and watch movies from the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, teen movies, they're smacking each other's asses, they're grabbing each other's titties, and they don't literally go, okay, that's a lawsuit. That didn't come about until the new millennia where they're like, okay, we're going to take all that out there and too much, blah,
I'm
blah,
not
blah.
saying I'm not saying I want this to happen or anything like that, but in today's culture, how in the hell is nobody talking about Blue Lagoon?
All right.
Tell me that. Explain that to me.
There's 100 movies, honestly, that you can say that about where you're like it blows me away because you're like, do you even realize when you go back and watch and you're like, holy shit, man, do you understand the premise of this film?
Like, I think Brooke Shields was like 16 in that movie.
I think she was.
I gotta Google it now.
There's another one too. What was it? Of course, it's not quite the same exact scenario. But, at the same time, Blue Lagoon was popular. What was it? That not Brooke Shields, Bo Derek's movie 10 was popular, which was about a woman being a 10.
Oh, okay.
Think about this, dude. Here's where we changed already so much.
Dude, she was 14.
Yeah, but get this. You're going to love this. Just 12 years ago, Gryz, we thought Shallow Hal was funny.
Yeah, well, it was funny.
It was funny, and it still is funny.
Absolutely.
Dude, those guys made a fucking funny movie about Siamese twins, for God's sakes. Yep. And if you can't laugh at it, then you have got to realize that life is funny, dude. That's what it is.
Mrs. Gryz and I were just talking the other night about how, so first of all, it's very hard to find a good movie that's been made after a certain point, number one, in time. Number two, it is so hard to find any movies anymore that have the good writing that all these great movies had going back. I mean, even look at, freaking something as dumb and benign, but every time I watch it, I die laughing. Happy Gilmore. I've seen it 50 cajillion times, and I die laughing every time I watch it. It's hilarious. And it's like, they keep dude, they're talking about now remaking Back to the Future.
Yeah, because they don't, dude. I read an article of all the spin-offs and sequels. Oh my God, man. Like they hurt my soul, with the exception, I think, of like Dune Part 2, which everybody's waiting on because Part 1 came out. So that's not a sequel so much as to do Dune. This dude needed 5 hours of fucking movie time. So that's what you get to like nobody's gonna sit in the theater for 5 hours.
Yeah, it's Part 2. It's
simply Part 2
same movie, yeah.
Right. But it is counted in the sequels and spinoffs. But there is a new John Wick spinoff, and that series has gone to shit. I don't care who argues, but he's now pulling off unbelievable things for a 50-year-old man. Like, I mean, dude, what I can't stand about movies is that once somebody pulls it, right? And what I'm talking about pulls it is once somebody goes extraordinary. No, what's the word I'm looking for? Far-fetched. So far-fetched that you technically should not believe it. it then becomes accepted in film from that point on. Example, in Indiana Jones, Temple of Doom, they are riding in a cart like it's a fucking roller coaster, number one, right? But it's just a mine cart, but it's built like a fucking roller coaster, okay? Just to say, and they jump a mine cart that has to be specifically all four wheels in-grooved very tightly, I might add. And to another side, and it hits perfectly, and they keep on going.
And no problem at all.
It's been done 100 times now. It's been done 100 times because if we believed it in Indiana Jones, well, then it can happen to us too.
How about
it's just bullshit.
How about the Matrix backbreaker? You know, when Keanu bends backwards to dodge the bullets. How many times have you seen that in a movie now, or something similar to it now?
But at least his was believable because he was in the Matrix where he could do extra things. Half the time when somebody does those shit, they're doing it in real life, and you're like, that ain't happening. You're not gonna bend back like that, keep your balance, and pop back up.
Hey, but speaking of weird movies like that, how about?
By the way, Constantine 2 is one of the horrible ones coming out. It doesn't look good.
How about?
They waited too long.
Was it called Wanted? The movie with Angelina Jolie with the bullet. Yeah. That was actually a good flick. I liked that. I liked that movie though. That was pretty cool.
Well, I like what's his name? I didn't like her, and I liked young Xavier, if you remember, is the younger guy. The guy that plays young Xavier, James McAvoy. But either way, these the premises have all gone to shit to the point where all it is either a piece of another story, right? Or it's them remaking it. I mean, dude, there's Beetlejuice 2 coming out. Beetlejuice 2. Come on, man. Just because Batman got to come back, that's how it happened, dude. He played Batman in that fucking Flash movie, and someone was like, we got to bring Beetlejuice back. We got to have Keaton do Beetlejuice again because that made so much money, and we haven't had anything getting money in so long. And here's the sad thing, dude, and I'll end it with this. It literally is all dependent on how much projected dollars they give a fuck that we sit here and go, Hollywood's turn to this, Hollywood's turn to that. The only thing they care about is, do their little calculators say, if we put this much money in, how much are we going to get out?
And don't forget about merchandising.
I'm talking about all of it. It's all part of it.
What's merchandisable? What else can we sell with this on it?
Another one, get this. You're going to love this. A new Planet of the Apes, because this is now Caesar's like great grandson.
So it's Planet of the Apes, but just with humans.
Right. It's there's another one too. What was it that I saw? Well, Planet of the Humans. No, I like that. Oh shit. They're gonna dig this because they killed him off, right? And obviously everybody wants to see them again because they're husband and wife. So we have Quiet Place 3 the first day or day 1. So it's a prequel of what happened right after that softball game that we saw in the first one, right? I guarantee it's from like that moment on, like their first day of learning how to be quiet or die.
So it's the explanation no one wanted.
Yep. Because it puts Emily Blunt and John Krasinski back in a movie together.
Just call him Jim.
You know,
just call him Jim. He'll forever be Jim.
Here's the thing, dude. I just get so tired. They're doing a sequel. Talking about Emily Blunt, they're doing a sequel to The Edge of Tomorrow. Live, die, repeat. How can you do that? He finally stopped repeating. It's done.
And I don't remember that movie actually did all that well to begin with.
A lot of times, movies that, you're like, was it truly good enough to even warrant a franchise built around it?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
for instance,
exactly.
Leprechaun. How did Leprechaun get to having 6 fucking films, man?
Hey, all I care about is that movie birthed Jennifer Aniston's career. So
It's already happening, Reese. There's somewhere they're bringing back ET, and instead of phoning home, it's gonna be like iPhone home.
yeah,
iPhone home. That's what they're gonna have a great moment where they're like, it's iPhone home.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
They're gonna need to
stream
Zoom
for 2 hours and
Zoom meeting
2 hours
home.
and 10 minutes. Yep. I got to make a Skype call to another planet. Give me a minute. Skype them. Hey, dude, we were on for 130 minutes. 130 minutes.
Nice.
So I love you, brother.
Goes by quick, brother.
It does, man. I honestly, the last time I looked at the clock, it was an hour. I looked again, it was 2 hours, and I looked just now, it was like 2:10. I'm like, oh, that's it. We gotta end it. My wife is probably like, when are we gonna go to bed? It's 11:55. It's 2 o'clock for you. So just remember that, folks. He's actually 2 hours ahead of me, so it's damn near 2 o'clock for him. Anyway,
yeah, but
we love all of you.
If I hadn't gotten out of work early tonight, I would have been getting home in about 20 minutes. So
there you go. That was it. All works out the way it's supposed to, though. So
yep.
It was time that you and I had a sesh. We hadn't been able to hang in a while. So
absolutely, man.
All right, brother. I love you. I love everybody here. I am going to kick you out and then do a sign off and get off. If you want to hang out, you can, but otherwise, feel free to leave because I'm going to be going to bed in like 2 minutes.
Love you, brother. Thank you again.
You, brother.
It was good talking to you.
Man.
Peace.
Always. All right, guys. I just want to say real quick, remember this. All of you are absolutely, I mean that. If anybody wants to be a part of the show, you can always do that. There's so many ways you can get in touch with me. The easiest one is probably so420 at spiritoffour20.com. And that's just SO420 at spiritoffour20.com. If you ever want to be a guest, hit me up. Reese, I already know you're going to end up being on here at some point, but we'll wait until that happens. Anyway, I love all of you. Have a beautiful evening. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful weekend. Well, no, actually, no, I won't talk to you again until the weekend. So I will be back on Saturday, and I'll be back on Monday as well on Christmas holiday. So I love all of you. Remember that you're incredibly unique. You're incredibly special. Each one of you is the only person that can be you. And think about that when I say that. That's what makes you special. No one else can do or think or say what you're doing. Remember that. Anyway, I love all of you. Have a beautiful evening and see you Saturday. Peace.
I switch here, I'm a strange fuck. Consistent ain't something I could say well. Throw my change into the wishing for a change well. Wish a day a swell life for the next come. And when the next come, pretend that it's the best one. Like I ain't even gonna try and say that to the next one.